Peace, family. It's the Mound Builder. Hope you're having the best mound building Monday you possibly can. These mound building Mondays are supposed to be inspirational, motivational, and they also include information that helps you along your path, give you insight into things that's going on in your life so that you can make the best possible decisions and move forward in your most prosperous, divine, and beneficial way. And I'm going to continue to do that. But it's a lot going on right now, and I'm not going to take a lot of time. I'm going to get right to the point. What we're seeing going on in this country is nothing new. This has been going on for the last 400 years, and it's continuing to go on. One of the reasons why it continues to happen is because we're continuing the same old tried, exhausted, and ineffective methods to solve this issue. You're not going to vote your way out of this. We keep coming back to the same conclusions of our vote is our voice. No, our voice is our voice. Voting is a process that is supposed to achieve a certain end. That end has not been very beneficial for us. We're still talking about, well, we'll just wait till November and we'll vote somebody else in. How has that really been working out for you? It's not about a vote. It doesn't matter who sits in the seat if the system and the structure and the foundation is rooted in injustice. You've had a black president. How much more can your vote do for you? So it's not about voting. You're not going to vote your way out of this. You're not going to protest your way out of this. You can go and you can have the parade of protests, and you can lay down and you can carry signs and be out by a certain time, or you can stay beyond that time and battle with police, but nothing's really changing. So our youth, and this is basically who I'm speaking to, because the scripture has a comment for that type of behavior. It says, let the old ones die out, and I'm going to take the children and inherit the promised land. Because we are steeped in these same old, worn out methods, and we won't change. And our condition isn't changing. And we're continuing to sentence younger generations to the same madness that we've been a part of, because we're too stuck in the mud, too spineless, and too much of a coward to really do what is required. So I'm going to speak to the youth. What's important right now for our youth, because they're watching, and I have a responsibility to speak to the youth because I have youth and I have young people and young adults that are dealing with some of this stuff that's going on. Here's what I say to the youth. Number one, stay out of the streets. When I say stay out of the streets, I'm talking about the protests, the so-called rioting, and all of that. Don't participate in that, because that's a setup. That's a trap. Everything is under surveillance. Everybody that's participating in whatever type of activity that they consider to be illegal or unlawful, you're on camera. And after this begins to die down, because it always dies down until the next event, and they really have us on schedule and they know our rhythm. So once this begins to die down, then they're going to come to your houses after they go through the footage, and they're going to arrest you, and they're going to put you in jail. So there's no win game there. And that's our issue. We're looking toward the end game, but we have no win game. Our strategy has to include an ending with us winning. And there is no win in any of these strategies that have been given to us by our so-called leaders, by politicians, by preachers. It's ineffective at best. So we have to look at what our end game and our win game is from our perspective. So to the youth, there is no win game in participating in that type of activity. As I said, a lot of that stuff is orchestrated. A lot of the rioting and a lot of the damage to buildings and a lot of the burnings is being done by other forces. It's not even being done by those who are actually legitimately interested in what happened to George Floyd or anyone else who has been killed in the past few years or past few weeks or even longer than that. This is a very old history and a very old experience that we've been going through. So this is nothing new. But what is new is what is being implemented now with respect to how they're going to move forward in response to what we're doing in the streets. So don't get involved in that. Don't be partakers of that type of plague that's coming, because they're going to come and they're going to round us up and they're going to fill us up with the jails, in the jails. Beautiful brother, historian Claude Anderson talks a lot about our history. And he talks about how the day after slavery, in 1863, the day we were released, supposedly released from slavery, we made up over 50% of the prisons. In 2020, make up over 50% of the prisons. The more things look like they're changing, the more they stay the same. So what we're doing and what we've been participating in clearly is not working. So if you're coming to me telling me about a vote in November, it's irrelevant. If you're coming to me telling me about won't he do it, it's irrelevant. We need answers that work, and we need solutions that work, and we need people that are going to be committed to making this work. People who are of other persuasions and other races and what have you, there are things that you can do, but you need to speak to your people. If you want to stand in support of what's taking place and the injustices that's going on, you don't need to come to us. You need to go to your people. You need to make changes where you are, if you're that concerned. We don't need you to hold hands and kumbaya and sing "We Shall Overcome" and show up at the parades and the protests and all of that. That's nice, but that's not effective. And it's a great show and it looks symbolic, but at the end of the day, nothing changes. So what we have to look at, and I'm speaking again specifically to our youth, because our youth, those that are going to be here moving forward for years to come, you have to evaluate all of this information. Take this information in and do something with it, because what has been done so far has brought you to the situation that you're in now. And again, it hasn't been a lot of change. So what is it really going to take for us to move forward in the most effective way? That's your question. We've had great leaders, spectacular leaders, great spokesmen, spokeswomen. We've had magnificent organizations, but still we're in this place. So what's next? What do we have to do, or what mindset do we have to possess in order to bring in something that is real, substantial, and represents the change that we require? That conversation is a conversation that needs to be had, and is not a conversation for social media.